What's going on, y'all? My name is Emmanuel,
My name is Amamihe.
and welcome to Talk Unbounded, where we're talking business, money, and finance.
So that you can feel empowered to take action and impact those around you.
Yes, sir. And if you guys appreciate this type of content, please leave a like down below, as well as comment what you want to see next from Talk Unbounded. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit us up on Instagram, where we'll be showing different, previews of our episodes, as well as giving you guys different motivational tips and general information that we believe will be very valuable to you guys as you pursue your own business and investing ventures. All right, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into this episode. All right,
Yeah.
Joe.
So right now we're on episode 4 and we're calling it, so you're working on your side hustle. What does that really mean?
Sir.
Do we really give the idea of a side hustle the power it deserves when we call it that? Or should it be called something else, like a side venture?
Mhm.
We're going to look at it from the perspective of my brother here, Emmanuel, who is actually in a full-time position and working on the side as a Forex trader. And, just trying to see, how much do you think that we are giving it the right energy by calling it a side hustle?
Mhm.
So with that, my first question for you is, do you consider trading as your side hustle? And, how do you feel about calling it that?
Yeah, so I would say that with trading, it started out as a side hustle for me. I would say that side hustle is more or less a hobby, right? Something that you enjoy and something that you put, money in towards for enjoyment. So I would say that it started out as a side hustle because I wasn't making consistent, profit from the markets just starting out. I was actually, more or less losing money as I was learning, right? But the losses were the lessons that allowed me to eventually become consistently profitable. So, I mean, to answer your question, I would say in the beginning, yes, I considered it a side hustle, and I don't have an issue with calling it that. Or in other words, the way I consider it as is it's a hobby. I don't have issues with calling it that because that's what it was, in the beginning, right? So that's how I look at uh, a side hustle or define a side hustle.
Word. So now, though, how do you feel now? Do you feel like calling it a side hustle, like that term hustle,
Mhm.
as opposed, it's like just a thing that you're just always grinding and struggling to make work, but it's not as, you know, there's not much priority put on it as much as your like main thing. Like now, do you feel like calling it a hustle takes power away from what you're working on? That it like in a way that it may never turn into something real? How do you feel about that now?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good point to mention, right? Because, words are powerful, and what comes out of your mouth when, you're talking about what you do, subconsciously that has an effect on, the energy and effort you put towards something. The way that you look at something is how you're gonna approach it. So because I consider a side hustle to be a hobby, it's something that, you find enjoyment in, but it's not really something that you're really trying to scale or make a full-time gig, or really, something that you're fully about when it comes to building a career. So I'm at a point where, I would not consider it a side hustle anymore. I would consider it more so as a side venture, because it's not something that is now a hobby that I'm just doing for enjoyment, but rather, I find purpose and value in it. And I've gotten to a point where, I'm consistently profitable, and now I want to teach others this skill, right? So I'm trying to scale what I know and, put it into basically plant this seed into others in terms of teaching others how to trade, now that I know how to trade and be consistently profitable, so that they can, do it for themselves and, ultimately create generational wealth. So I'm at a point where I would consider it a side venture, right? And I think calling it a side hustle in the beginning, it kind of gave me, the motivation subconsciously to make it more than just a side hustle, right? I don't want to call this a hobby because I'm at a point where now I know I can, make something big out of this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at a point where I call it a side venture. Mhm.
And grow it into something serious, more serious sooner
Mhm.
as opposed to later. Yeah,
Right.
it's not play
Exactly.
anymore. You're consistently profitable. There's a model to it. There's a proof of concept there. And
Hmm.
now you're like, okay, if I just do the right things, increase my
Yeah.
skill and go and move forward, I can now make it um, my main thing one day.
Hmm.
And that leads me to our next question and our last one there with how do you just keep on fighting against that notion of something being a side, even just whether to call it side venture, side hustle, just something that's on the side that you love
Hmm.
that isn't being put as your main full-time objective. How do you fight against the notion that this thing that I'm working on that I care about is going to stay on the side, so that and in such a way that you're like ultimately fighting to the point where you can make that side thing your main thing? How do you consistently, beat that notion? Oh, it's that side. Even that word side, just like how do you eventually
Yeah.
how do you beat that notion?
Yeah. Because when you say, the side thing is not, the main thing for
Yeah, we're not even gonna get into that.
for lack of a better word. So,
Yeah, but yeah,
subconsciously, it's like if you want it to be more than just, something that you're doing on the side, something that's a hobby, then, the way that you fight it, I would say the very first thing is figuring out whether or not you want to make it something more, because there's nothing wrong with having hobbies or things that you enjoy doing on the side that isn't your main thing, right? Or the couple of main things that you're doing at a very given moment. But I think the first step is just deciding what you want it to be once you know what it's about, once you've, spent some time doing whatever it is, trading, building a business,
right.
investing in real estate, right? So once you have that conversation with yourself, I think then you can decide whether or not you want to scale it, make it a venture, make it something that is one of those main things that you're doing in this life, right? So for me, I enjoyed trading. Like it was exciting for me. It's enjoying to use my analytical mindset, and then master my own psychology to basically trade, and just all these different principles that are involved with trading. I really enjoyed it for myself, but it got to a point where I was thinking, bigger picture, right? If I can teach others how to invest in this market, this could be something huge, much bigger than myself. Like I could be
Yeah.
helping people create generational wealth for
Culture
themselves.
change.
Exactly. They have something that they can use to provide, for them, for their family and for themselves, right? So
Yeah.
after I found this as something that I really enjoy, I'm like, I want to scale this, right? I want to make it one of those main things that I'm doing, right? In addition to my full-time position, I want to be, a trader, but also, somebody that spreads the wealth, somebody that, helps others learn how to trade and invest within this vehicle.
Right. That feeling, that notion, the way you fight against it is, that feeling you have inside of this thing being a real thing that can actually not only benefit me in my life, but
Mm-hmm.
impact others. That feeling of responsibility or that
Hmm.
potential to be something larger than yourself, that helps you fight
Hmm.
against making that
And you'll
side,
know.
keeping that
And,
side the side thing, but eventually
mhm.
it gives you that fervor to make it hopefully one day that main thing. Love it.
Yeah, and
So
you'll know because you'll feel it, right? Even though I enjoyed trading on my own, I was like, I can't keep this to myself. Like I have to tell others about this because I know what it can do for somebody. Because I've seen what it's done, for me, and my own, my financial well-being, right? So you'll feel that tug, that desire to do more, and it won't feel like a burden,
yeah,
right? It won't feel like a burden, right?
no,
I'm I'm not a very extroverted person. I'm somebody that really likes to keep to myself, but because I feel this burning desire to basically spread the knowledge or spread what I know about this, you kind of overcome those fears of, you know, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, and, you know, basically letting it be known that you do this so that people know what you're about, and they can, you know, come to you if this is something that they want to do or they have some level of interest in. Hmm.
Because it is important enough. Because
Hmm.
it's important enough. That's right. So with that, that was amazing right there. And I couldn't put it better than that. So yeah, if you're looking towards, you know, making something that you're doing on the side, something main, you gotta find, you gotta see, you gotta ask yourself if it's something that you want to make your whole, you know, your main thing. Decide within yourself, and you know, you can fight against that notion by recognizing if that thing is important enough
Hmm.
to make it into something your main thing. So with that, um, that wraps up episode 4 of Talk Unbounded. So I'm working on my side hustle. If you like this content, like Emmanuel said in the beginning of the video, be sure to like our video down below, comment down below as well, and subscribe. And to stay in touch with what we're doing in our daily updates that we're going to be rolling out, follow us on Instagram to see what we're doing over there. And yeah, we're going to have a preview for our next episode coming soon that you're going to see only on Instagram. And yeah, till next time, this is Amamihe here.
This is Emmanuel.
And from Talk Unbounded, we are signing out.